Hey, so welcome to another seller interview. We are with the lovely Hayden Davidson today. Hi, Hayden. How you doing?
Hi, Matt. Yeah, good. Thanks. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. So in today's episode or show or whatever you want to call this, I don't know what to call it yet, but in today's interview, we're going to deep dive into Hayden. He's going to tell us, I'm going to pretend I know nothing about Hayden. I've known Hayden for quite a while now, so I know a bunch of this stuff, but maybe you guys don't. So we're going to deep dive into Hayden. We're going to deep dive into his journey so far, entrepreneurially and on Amazon. He does online arbitrage and retail arbitrage and stuff. So, and he's been doing it a while. He's quite good at it, and he's got lots of stuff in his brain to share. So I'm going to try and tap into his brain, extract a bunch of online arbitrage tips for you guys. So any value I can get out of him on your behalf, I will do so. But yeah, hopefully it'll just be a fun, nice little chat with somebody else that's maybe in your shoes, whether you're thinking about selling on Amazon or you're already selling on Amazon. It's good to see real people that are doing it and learn from their highs and lows and all that stuff. So if you're all right to go, we'll just get cracking, Hayden, yeah?
Absolutely. Let's dive in.
Wicked. Right. So start off. Who's Hayden Davidson? Tell me about yourself. How did you get to be here today with me? Give me as much of your journey as you want or as little. Go for it.
Cool. Yeah, so Hayden, 25. So, yeah, I mean, I started my first business at 19. And since there, I sort of tried and tested loads of businesses that were sort of some average, to say the least. Some lost me money. Some made me okay money. But never really found something that I thought, could make me money and then also give me some sort of freedom. So after testing and trialing loads of businesses, including stuff like landscaping and stuff like, lifting slabs up in the rain, sloshing around in mud and stuff like that, I thought, oh, God, I've got to do something that's like, a bit more fulfilling, rewarding, and can be sort of online, so that I can sort of go, travel and do some stuff that I want. So I sort of never stopped searching, and I'm always searching for something just to better myself always. And I suppose about a year and a half ago, I stumbled across just someone that I was watching that was doing online arbitrage on Amazon, and I just asked them, if it was legit, if it worked. And he actually used to be a private label seller, but then he got into online arbitrage, and I was like, why would you do that? And then he just told me the pros and the cons, and and then I learned, just realised that it is a real opportunity. Tested my feet for way too long without trusting the process. 8 months maybe, where I didn't actually believe in it for about 8 months, which was crazy, and obviously set me back so much because I was almost attracting the bad stuff rather than the good stuff. Just expecting it not to work, therefore it didn't in many ways. But then once I believed in it, it did work. So and then fast forward a few months, we're here now, and certainly this month and last month, taking a really nice, healthy, paycheck from Amazon, reinvesting it, but I could take it as salary if I wanted. It's all looking good. So that was a really speedy version of who I am, and I'd say I'm an entrepreneur. Always trying different things, and sort of never giving up on the pursuit of my dreams, if you want.
So just going to your dreams for a minute, because obviously a lot of people get into things for different reasons. You mentioned travel. What are your dreams? What's your biggest why? What is it that makes you entrepreneurial or want to do this journey?
So I want to make an impact. So I want to make an impact in the world in some way. But I don't know what that is yet. And I think the worst thing you can do, though, is not know what that is and then not take any action at all. So for me, starting the Amazon business and starting business in general, Amazon for me is very much it's a driver, and it's like something that's enabling me to have the freedom to be able to then go and explore other things that I love, and the impact that I want to make on this world. So actually, this month certainly I'm in the best position that I've ever been in, because Amazon's giving me the freedom and the financial freedom, which is so important, to actually be able to sit back and just discover what I want. So honestly, I don't know what that is, but the beauty is that last week, because I just, obviously it took a lot of time to get up to this, but I work 2 or 3 hours a day on the Amazon stuff. I've earned obviously a full-time wage from that. And then it's given me the space to just reflect on things and think about the bigger picture and carry on looking for the impact that I want to make in the world, which I'll openly admit, I don't know what that is yet, but it's amazing to have the freedom to do that without having to work in Tesco for 8 hours a day. You know what I mean?
Well, you and me have shared stories. We've had many a conversation where it's just you and me chatting, and we've talked about that. And I think I resonate with you in that way somewhat. I know I was sent here to do something. I'm not saying some higher spirit or force or alien sent here, but I don't know. I feel like there's some big project in me that almost every day in my business journey is leading me to that thing. And I don't quite know what it is, and I do want it to impact. And we've had this conversation a million times because we're in the same position, but I've got like 16 years on you. So I'm running out of time to find that thing if I'm going to find it, but you're not. But no. So Amazon, the Amazon business is a kind of a right now thing for you. But have you got any other job or income streams? So is it just are you literally full time on Amazon now?
Amazon is 70% of my income. And then I've just got a few other things. So I do a bit of affiliate marketing as well. I do YouTube as well, which should be starting to pay me soon because I'm, increasing the content. And then I have, as you know, I've got investments in crypto and stuff, which is going really well at the moment. But yeah, apart from that, that's it at the moment.
But no full-time job or anything. So
no.
Just a full-time hustler in a bunch.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, full-time on that.
No, that's cool. So what's the intention with the Amazon business? Is it to scale it up? Because I know you've talked a lot about outsourcing. Maybe we can touch on that, your outsourcing journey so far. What's the intention? What have you got any specific goals for your Amazon business?
So for me, I'm at quite a nice, stage at the moment where I'm earning, a full-time wage from it, as I said, and I've outsourced the majority of it. So I only do 2 or 3 hours a day, and it's taken me a long time to get to that. Some people will be watching this thinking, "Oh, I wish I was there," you know what I mean? But obviously it's taken a lot of work and sometimes 12 hours a day to get there, so it didn't happen overnight. But for me, I think that I'm reinvesting everything at the moment. I just want to scale it to sort of double the size where it is. So I'm way more than comfortable. And then I'm just going to leave it there. I'm not really interested in growing OA as a massive company. I might create my own brand and do, obviously, and then sell it on Amazon as well, that brand, as well as Shopify, just a brand. But in terms of OA, I just want to probably scale it to double the size where it is. So we're doing sort of, I don't know, 600,000-700,000 a year, which sounds crazy to even say that because, we're due way over $250,000 this year, probably 350,000. I'd like to double that and then sort of, be quite nice to sit around that sort of number, I suppose. So that's my goal for Amazon. For me, it's just, I don't want to scale it massive because obviously, more problems come when you scale it massive.
So when you say you're using outsourcing and stuff, what are you doing right now then? Are you outsourcing your prep? Are you outsourcing deal sourcing? Which bits are you outsourcing?
So I've outsourced my prep. Obviously I've got accountants, so I outsource my prep, the accountancy stuff. Which I don't know if you class as outsourcing, but it is what it is. And then I've got a VA pool, so I'm with some other sellers in there. Just one other seller at the moment, actually, because someone couldn't be in there anymore. But yeah, so with one other seller there at the moment, and then we share deals with each other. And then I've got 2 VAs working directly with me. So there's sort of there's probably about 12 people that are working directly or indirectly for me, including prep centers and stuff. So that's pretty cool, and so that's everything pretty much outsourced. And then obviously I've got software and everything like that, which obviously saves an extra person's job just with the software.
So speaking of software, what software do you use?
So I use Profit Protector Pro. I use some Fully. Lucky to be in the beta, and Buybot Pro. I think that's it, actually.
Oh well, that's what I like to hear, because that's our stuff. So I'm super happy with that. So talk to me about talk to me about the journey with Barbot Pro and Profit Protector Pro. How are you getting on with them?
Yeah, really good. Yeah, so I don't even think about it. Obviously, I don't really use Barbot Pro. My VAs use Barbot Pro.
Yeah.
So yeah, obviously we use it, and I've never had any complaints from them. You know what I mean? It's perfect. You know, works perfectly. I've literally got nothing to really say apart from it. It just works perfectly. Does everything that you want it to do and more, obviously. And then Profit Protector Pro, I just set the automate. I automate the mins and the max in bulk, and then we just leave it there. And as soon as that feature came in, wow, the consistency in sales was just crazy, because I just set it at like 25% ROI. And it just means that you haven't got to constantly go back and change all the little, the adjustments whenever you get penny pinched by 3p or something. You could be missing out hundreds of pounds a day just because you're being penny pinched by 3 pence or something. So once you've got the automated min and max, it just means that you can just set it there and then just set it and forget it. And then some items will come back even if they've gone below that and whatever. So yeah, that's the software I use.
So favorite strategy in Profit Protector Pro?
Do you know what? You're not going to like this. It was the super aggressive, but now recently I've just been setting it to the bog standard minimum, right? I've been setting it to match lowest FBA.
Okay.
Only because that's like, we've had a lot of items that we just wanted A, to get rid of, and B, just we really like that consistency and loads of sales. So I've just set like a reasonably low ROI. I just set a minimum, set a match lowest FBA, and we've just been absolutely smashing the sales with that. So that works for us at the moment.
That's good to hear. Don't think that I'm not going to be all like, why aren't you using an algorithmic strategy?
It's algorithmic, isn't it? Yeah.
No, it's whatever works. Whatever works. At the end of the day, that's interesting. I like to hear stuff like that, because it's good to hear how people are using it and getting best results from it. So that's cool. So so you're doing well by the sounds of it. You're heading for over 250,000 sales, and you've got ROI about 25%. So I don't know what that means. That weird face was me trying to work out what that is. I mean, it's tens of thousands. Profit, like what profit kind of thing? If you,
I see what you mean.
I don't know what that is, but
I'd say if I sell 20 grand, 20 grand's worth, which is like, usually do that in a month, or more. Yeah. If we sell 20 grand, then the gross profit's probably about 4,500 off that. Gross.
That's awesome. And you're using the power of compounding by taking as much as you can, putting it back into the business to grow it.
At the moment, yeah. But I've only just started doing that. So, I mean, I took money too fast, to be honest. I was taking profit too fast. But, yeah, so, gross profit. And then we obviously got to pay for the prep centre and the VAs. But they're not a lot. It's not a lot if you do it right. Yeah. But it is about tweaking. So, obviously, I don't know if you want to go into that. But, yeah.
No, I mean, we're just chatting. I don't have every interview I've done so far, I've had a bunch of questions. But this one, we're just chatting. So I don't have any specific structure or anything. I mean, I know some of the mistakes you've made along your journey, because we've chatted so much, and you probably know some of the mistakes I've made over my journey, and we kind of learn and bounce off each other.
Yeah.
But what would you say your biggest mistake was then so far that you've made in your online arbitrage journey, and what maybe has held you back? Would you say it's taking profits too soon, or what?
Oh, do you know what I'm not afraid to admit I made so many big mistakes that it's really hard for me to pinpoint one particular one.
Oh, just give us a couple then. Give us a couple. We've all made mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, you're not pushing hard enough at the end of the day. So let the audience learn from your mistakes. Give us 2 or 3.
Because I've been doing this full time for 1.5 years. I mean, full time. I've been all in, and if something doesn't work quite fast, I get quite impatient. But I think that's understandable, because I'm in it full time, and it's my world. It has been my world. So I'll test strategies, and I think the biggest mistake that I made is not leaving it long enough for that strategy to take effect. But B, to think that Amazon is binary. So to think that Amazon is one way and that's the only way. There's hundreds of ways that you can do online arbitrage. But I used to think that it was just what you saw, if that made sense. So I went through periods of thinking that I've got to do, the only way Amazon works is if you take 10% ROI and take 50p an item. I was wrong, but I was in the environment and surrounding myself with sellers that did that. And then I was really doubtful of the whole process because of that. So that's just one way that some people do it, but it's not the only way.
So just to pull on that thread a little bit, so I agree. I've seen these sellers. I've seen people that coach in this game that have said that, I don't source any less than 50% ROI. And when you have actually looked into the listings, they've got like 50p profit and they're just a volume seller, which is cool. Volume selling is okay, but admit that's what you're doing. Don't make out that you've got 50% ROI when you've not. So
volume like that. Yeah. But you've got to test these things. So how do you combat that then? So you started off thinking that it was a 50p profit, stack them high, pile them high, sell them cheap business model. And now you've adjusted your way of thinking. So how do you look at it now? What's changed? What's different? I say, so it's all about tweaking. So like that, there's nothing I haven't tested, I believe, in this business. Like, well, obviously there is. Sorry, that was arrogant of me to say that. But I've tested a lot. Like if there's the surface thing, every strategy any OA seller's doing in the communities, I've tested it because I've all these different sort of methods, So the problem is when you source items that are such low ROI and such low profit, but it is a numbers game. Obviously, there's pros and cons to that, and the pros is that you're most likely going to sell all that stock. It's going to sell really fast as well, so you get your money back really quick. But the downfall with that, which I had to test, was the fact that you've got the prep fees can be thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands unless you're at your own warehouse. And some months you'll lose money or you'll break even until the ricochet effect of that takes place, until you start getting money back in the future. And that could take 2-3 months for you to see all that money back, if that makes sense.
No, it don't make sense. What do you mean? What do you mean by ricochet? What?
Sorry, so not everything's going to sell straight away as soon as it hits the prep center. And also, there could be a period where you've spent all that money on the prep fees. You've just got a £15,000 prep fee.
Oh, but it's all sold through, so the profits have not returned to you.
Yeah, so you'll lose money. And there's big sellers that lose money, and then they make a lot of money the next month, lose money, break even.
You mean what you mean? I'm with you now. Sorry, I understand now. So a cash flow issue. So in the short term, you've been hit by a massive prep center bill. But in the long term, 3 months later, you've sold through all your stock and you've got your profit back. So it creates a bit of a cash flow issue. I'm with you.
Quite a thick skin to put up with that because, that's quite a serious, Anyway, so it wasn't for me. So I think a few of the ways that but I've tested all that and realised it wasn't right for me in a much smaller scale than spending 15,000 on prep fees. So I think the thing that I realised is that actually you have got to decide on what strategy you're going to do. So and don't flicker in between. That's just my belief. So if you're going to do that, then do it and believe in it, go all in. Know that you've got to judge in quarters or half years rather than month by month because it's going to look shocking month by month. But another thing that I realised is actually that I had to tweak it. So I tweaked it what was right for me. And what was right for me was making not a ridiculous amount of profit per item, but making much more than that, but selling a lot of SKUs and going a lot wider in order to do that. And then getting a bit more creative with my strategies in terms of the retailers that I was using and the products that I was buying, and then sort of niching down on that. So, but it's taken me 15-16 months to get to that mindset to find the right strategy for me. So for me, I compacted that by going wide with slower selling items that were not ridiculous profit, but good profit to start with. And then by the time the people that are trying to, penny pinch or bring the price down, you still end up with 20-25% ROI going really, really wide. So that's how I combated it. But obviously there's downfalls to that in terms of much more risk of IP violations and that sort of stuff. So there's nothing's perfect, but it's sort of like, you've got to find the right strategy for you. So that's what I do. So
when you say you've tried everything, I assume you've tried like unique bundling and all that stuff that Natalie teaches in Elite Sellers Academy. Have you tried all that stuff?
So, well, that's more like private label. I meant OA specifically, but I have created one, but I never launched it. So I did actually buy all the stock for a unique bundle, but then I looked into that further and realised that wasn't for me. So that's another example of something that on the offset looks great, but you've got to dig deeper because it may not be right for you. So as I said at the beginning of the call, I want to, you know, obviously coronavirus has stopped me on this, but I want to be off of my travels as soon as possible. I should be going in the next month or so. And I spoke to Natalie about that, and I said, look, is unique bundles for me? Because yes, the profit looks great, etc., but you've got to dig deeper. And the fact is that if you're not prepping that yourself, or if you're not with a JV of someone else, you know, that's prepping them unique bundles for you, you've got to be careful that things like voice of the customer don't get affected. If you send out, you know, a certain amount of unique bundles that are missing something, you know, this stuff happens if you're doing volume. If you miss something, if one of them's damaged or something, which inevitably happens, if your voice of the customer rating shoots right down, then that listing is done, and you're not only left over with their stock, but, you know, you could potentially waste all that time you spent creating it. So, and obviously there's ways to combat that. But for me, I spoke to Natalie, and because I'm going traveling, because I would have to put it through a prep center, I don't think it wasn't right for me, because you can't take them mistakes. So that's just another example of, you know, the experience that you've got to question it further and further. And stuff on the surface may not be as good, you know, for you in your unique situation. Obviously unique bundling is really good for some people, but I think you need to be in control of it in your own environment to do unique bundling.
Yeah. So, okay, cool. So you keep talking about travel, and you're going in a month. Where are you going?
Well, hopefully I'm going in a month. I'm waiting for old Boris, aren't I, to sort himself out. So once he lets us know, then obviously I'll be able to book. I don't know, mate. I've been trying to get out. It sounds like I'm just chatting rubbish, because I've been telling people I want to go for about a year and a half, because we've been in lockdown for about a year and a half.
Right, I can't help, so can it? I mean, obviously, right. You'd have gone a year ago if you could, but you can't, so it's not your fault. And I mean, I don't want to make this political or anything, but I think we're going to be waiting a while for Boris to sort himself out. So.
He hasn't even done his hair yet.
I don't know what's going on, but anyway, let's keep it Amazon. So, okay, so so you're building a business that can be run mostly by other people. You dipping in and out from time to time, and that's kind of the strategy. So, is it fair to say then, if you're not getting too creative on the different types of kind of arbitrage and reselling, you are sticking to a relatively, what I'd call a vanilla way of source product low, sell it high, and going for wide, slightly higher ROIs, not so much volume. Is that basically the model that you're following then? Is that fair to say?
I wouldn't call mine vanilla OA, not out of a egotistical sort of way. I don't care, you know. But I think vanilla OA for me is people that are just sourcing the exact same product from Wilco or whatever, you know, either from a deal sheet or getting their VAs to do it, and they're just following what 40 or 50 other sellers are doing. That's what vanilla OA is to me. I'm using a lot of stores that some people probably never even heard of, and we're sourcing specifically in a niche category. And then we're also, you know, I don't know. You could call it vanilla OA, but it's not.
I don't think it is. I don't think it is. If you're going, I didn't know. So you found some more exclusive stores, and you're deep diving into a specific category, are you?
Pretty much, yeah. And then we shoot for basically most of our listings start out at 40–50% ROI, but by the time, you know, we're on it, and we've got to sometimes bring the price down in order for that item to start selling again. So we will actually discover a lot of items that are pretty much dead listings, but we take a lot of risks in terms of, I will buy items that are, you know, look great, 50% ROI, but they've only had one sale in the last 6 months. And a lot of people, it's great because it puts them off. But what I'll do is I'll get that listing going. So I'll look at, right, what can I do here to speed the sales up? And most of the time it's the price that you need to bring down to speed the sales up. But not always. Sometimes it's just the fact that there's no FBA seller. And as soon as you go in FBA, then you can still get a really good ROI. But some people haven't got the experience to overlook that, you know, to have sold so much to be able to realize that, and tested so much. So yeah, it's just checking what that listing is missing. And obviously sometimes, you know, you can't compete with the lower price, so therefore you have to leave it. But a lot of the time, there's a lot of undiscovered listings out there that just need a tweak of £5 or so to take them down, and then you're off. The listing's off. The problem when the listing's off is that other sellers start to come on. So one thing we do is we discover new listings, rinse it for everything it's got, and then maybe it goes. So yeah,
because other OAs have found it at that point, so they wouldn't touch it when the BuyBot Pro chart looks like this.
Yeah, they wouldn't touch it. Yeah,
but then when you've brought it down, it's starting to look a bit like this. Oh, hang on, you can't see it. Then they're all over it. Now I get that. I get that.
That's just to add there. That's why us sourcing from stores that a lot of people haven't heard of, that also adds to the longevity of that listing lasting for longer and not getting saturated. So yeah. I've done that with listings, and there's only 3 other sellers on there now, and we've been on there for 4 or 5 months. So
nice.
That to me, that's the way OA is. That's the way OA is going now.
That's the best. No, I wouldn't call that vanilla OA either. Then, have you got any tips for finding these hard to find stores? Because obviously everybody's got Google. Obviously, I don't want you to give up your hard to find stores, because then everybody's got them. But like, is there a specific way that you can find them? Because obviously one of the ways that I've taught a lot of people to find stores is go through something like Top Cashback or Quidco. Look at all the authorized stores on there that have got cashback amounts agreed with them. And it's like a massive list of a massive bunch of stores. And you know, the legit stores because they're probably verified by Top Cashback. So how do you find stores that aren't your usual Argos, Tesco, Asda, Sainsbury's, and the stuff something like Top Cashback? Have you got any tips?
Yeah, that's really good what you just said. I've never even done that, you know. So that's great.
So even I'm giving tips out today. That's great. Well, yeah, you give us some tips. How do we find these hard to find stores?
So honestly, my sourcing VA does most of it, but it's just reverse sourcing for us. So like, you know, if we're looking for items that are similar, we're looking for, you know, frequently bought items of our popular items that we sell. The sourcing VA will look at frequently bought items with this item, for example, similar items and all that sort of stuff. And then if we find something that's gold or whatever, if we find something on someone else's store doing reverse sourcing and all that sort of stuff, then what we do is just do a Google lookup, you know, search the Google, you know, use the Amazonian right click, Google lookup, whatever. And usually if the store's got it, the top 2 or 3, you know, stores, then, you know, it may be all right just to use that one. You may be able to buy the rest of their stock out so that, you know, so that no one else can buy that stock, you know, if it's a more undiscovered listing, because you've got much more chance of them, you know, speeding the sales up with that. But you know, if it's like Wilco or something like that, it's got loads in stock and it's quite a popular listing, then what you need to do is obviously just keep looking on the stores, maybe even to page 2 or 3 on Google, and just obviously do your due diligence, see if they are on Top Cashback. But if they're not, then have a little look on Trustpilot to make sure that they are a legitimate store, because that's the one thing you could do in this game. Obviously, we've made a lot of orders that have then been refunded and stuff, or, you know, they've messaged us saying, are you a reseller and stuff? Because some stores are like, what the hell? You know what I mean? What is going on here? You know, because they're not used to people even discovering their website. You know, they're usually like little shops or something that have got a website. So you've got to test it really low with the, you know, purchasing. So buy 3 or 5 just to make sure you're going to A, receive that order, and B, they're not just going to refund that order, and then it's a waste of your time. So that's just honestly how we find them, and it's not that hard. I think sometimes what we also do is look for other sellers, so spend sometimes even a day going through other people's stores. And I used to ignore stores that were in like a super niche. So if someone's just selling pet food, for example, I would assume they're a wholesaler, or which they could be, or they, you know, they're not the right sort of person to do research on. But actually, if they're just selling one item, there's a few chances that they're either A, the distributor, B, they're doing wholesale, or C, they've put themselves into a super niche of pet food and they found a store that no one else has found, and then they are selling just pet food because they're making so much money out of it. And that's how we found some stores as well. So if you can look at someone that's just selling one specific category, do your research on Google to find out most likely where they're finding every single one of them items. The likelihood is that they've tapped into a retailer and a category that no one else has tapped into, and they're absolutely killing the game. Yeah, so that's.
I think you've already dropped some real gold nuggets on this. We could end it here, and I think there's enough value to have justified somebody watching this. Do you dabble with wholesale, or is this no wholesale?
So 100% OA, and that's another thing I believe in. Once again, I've tested a lot. I've tested wholesale stuff, you know, like looking at all the lists and stuff, opening accounts with wholesalers. Margins get much lower, so therefore it doesn't work with our other method. For me, I think you've just got. I don't think you should do wholesale and OA. That's just me. I don't think you should do. I think you should just do one, get really, really good at it. I wouldn't have the insights I've got now if I was doing wholesale as well. You know what I mean? I'll be taking a much smaller margin, doing higher volume. Depends your unique situation. If you've got a warehouse, do wholesale. Do you know what I mean? It's like it depends what your situation is. Do you want it to be rural? Do you not? No, I just do OA, and I think you should focus on one method, get it really good, get it systemized, and then if you want to do wholesale after that, maybe open another account once you've done proper checks with Amazon and everything, and then do wholesale that way, or do private label or whatever you want to do. Because I just don't think you become an expert. I feel like I'm starting to master OA, and you don't start to do that if you're doing wholesale as well as OA, because you've got too many things in the air. So but that's just my opinion.
Yeah, no, absolutely, fair enough. So let's jump off the Amazon train for a second and talk about your entrepreneurial side of things. So you said you'd done a bunch of stuff before. I know you shared it with me, but share it with the audience if you fancy it. What other stuff have you done before Amazon?
So I started a business at 19. I was going to say the name bit, but I won't say the name. It was in my local area. And I sort of tested that for a while, got quite good at it, did it with a business partner, and we grew that to sort of 3 vans and 5 or 6, maybe 7 staff members. I can't remember. And I was only 19.
Are you on about the landscaping thing?
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to say what it was. Yeah, so that was just general gardening and like lawn cutting and all that sort of stuff. And then we sort of dipped into a bit more landscaping stuff. And I was only 19 when I started that. So obviously you can imagine doing really well compared to anyone else that age. But then I sort of, you know, because you get confidence, don't you? You know, obviously you had this in business, you know, when you start to make money and you think you're doing really well, which I was for my age. And then once you get that confidence, you just think that you can do anything, which you can, but it's not necessarily going to be as easy as it took you to do that, if that makes sense. So I got too confident and too cocky too quickly, I think. And then I sort of got rid of that business without keeping it as a base. I just got rid of it and then went into something else. Essentially lost everything, if you want, but I'm not going to use that generic term, but essentially just I lost my base, so I no longer had that income. And then I went through this.
Gave it up. What does that look like? Because I've done that with things. I've just stopped doing it. Everyone thinks you have to sell it, or you have to go bankrupt, or it has to. And it's not always like that. I've shut down loads of stuff that I've been doing. Just decided it's not for me anymore. So what did that look like?
Well, it was a silly move on my part though, but it was a decision nonetheless, and I don't believe that any decision.
You just decided.
I just said, right, that's it, you know. So yeah, shut that, which was generating a lot of money, and it was, you know, it was a bit of a silly move, but as I say, it was a decision, and it's all learning. So yeah, and then I tried loads of different things. I've had like a subscription box business called Bare Essentials. So it's not even in business anymore, but it was called Bare Essentials. And what we did with that was we were going to provide men with all of their bathroom necessities delivered in the post every single month. So I started that, and we didn't even get one sale. It was an absolute flop. It was like, when I look back at that now, I think, oh my word, how did we even, you know, we got investment from like, you know, pretty successful business people as well on that. And it was just, it's the most embarrassing project I've ever done. And I just can't believe it was essentially a unique bundle, but we were doing it with Shopify and we were doing it off. So, you know, I've been dabbling on e-commerce for years, really. But I've had other things, you know. I used to do, I had a cleaning agency, I had about 8 cleaners, I think, working for us at one stage, but, you know, binned it off, shut that as well, because, you know, thought that it wasn't bringing me enough fulfillment. So I just shut it down and got rid of it. And that was a bit of a bad cycle that I went through. Just, you know, whenever things got, you know, whenever I wasn't getting enough fulfillment out of that specific thing, I shut it down because I was so confident that I could do anything. I didn't want to waste my time not doing anything. But then I realized that I think because I didn't stick to anything and build a base, which is, you know, what I'm doing now. I'm sticking to this and making a concrete base. So then I obviously self-jeopardized myself because I kept having to do stuff I didn't really want to do just to build a base. And that was the bad cycle I was in. And I did this with loads of things. So, you know, I literally, I've been in so many industries I can't even fathom. You know,
I think with you, by the sounds of it, it's not that you get bored easily, but I think you want results straight away. You know, you don't really want to wait for them. And then if the results don't come like lightning, like you lose a bit of interest in it. Is that fair to say?
Because I honestly deep down believe that I can achieve so much and that I've got to make such an impact that I think like
it's almost wasted. You're wasting
my time. You know what I mean? But I've then self-jeopardized myself by, you know, wasting more time by getting rid of it and having to do stuff that I don't want to do. So I realised that, you know.
Eight cleaners could have turned into 80 cleaners now, couldn't it? And then you could have sold it for a couple of million, and the 3 vans could have turned into 30 vans, and you could have sold it for a couple of million, and then you're off to the races, aren't you, I guess?
But I've realised that, and it's sort of like obviously that wasn't the right time for me, and it wasn't the right, you know. So I will. It wasn't the right
business for you, really, was it? Because you wouldn't have quit it if it was. You just didn't have the passion for it and the interest. You're probably just doing it for the money. And I think you need more than that, don't you? You need to be doing something that you believe in, that you're passionate about, that you ticks all those boxes, but you're not sure what that is yet, which is that catch-22.
100%. That's it. Yeah, and it's like. And I do think to myself, yeah, if I did get that to 30 vans or to 80 cleaners, whatever it would be, then that would probably bring me away from the whatever you want to call it, purpose or the thing that I should be doing, and then impacting people's lives in the way I should be. So I do think that I got myself into a bad pattern of judging myself compared to other people, you know, like the young stars of the world, as I say, Stephen Bartlett, and the people that are, you know, 25 and they achieve millions and millions. But that obviously just wasn't the right time or path for me. But when I find my thing, then, you know, I do believe that I will be unstoppable in that thing. So, but, you know.
The idea is do Amazon for now whilst you find your thing, and then you'll have this base hopefully outsourced and making money on its own whilst you can go pursue your passion and build your empire in whatever it ends up being.
Absolutely, yeah. So, and it, you know, it's just a great base to have at the moment. You know, for could be years to come. I just mean, you know, it just means that you don't have to rush anything. And hey, for some people, you know, this is what they want to do long term, and that's cool as well. You know, like it would be a lot easier life if I just wanted to do this. You know, you can't ignore that burning desire inside yourself.
No, I totally agree. But the beauty of it is it can be fully outsourced, and you can automate, delegate. You can use software to do half the tasks and VAs and stuff. And it is one of those things whereby there are people doing this and doing like million+ sales, and they're not doing any of the prepping. They're not doing any of the sourcing. So whether you want to keep it as a spare time kind of hustle, making a little bit of money in your bedroom while around your job, or you want to crush it and make it your life's purpose, or you just want to do what you're doing, which is find your way and have it be the concrete base over time, it's okay. And it fits all of those things, whether you want to go full force or you want to do it in your spare time, it fits all of that, which is really, really cool about it, I suppose. And Absolutely. you're gonna get the upside of Amazon sales growing over time as Amazon expands.
Yeah, absolutely. And you've got to think about obviously all the skills that you're learning as well from it. You know, I've learned how to manage a team. I've learned how to systemize a business. I mean, it's like I didn't know how to do any of that in my other businesses, you know, so it would have taken me a lot longer. So you can replicate all these skills into any other business that you want, you know, like, you know, managing and scaling and systemizing, you know, and Amazon's got a lot of moving parts. So if you can systemize it and make it work, then, you know, you're pretty much going to be okay in most other businesses.
Yeah, big time, big time. Well, you'll have acquired skills and stuff from every single business, won't you? Up until this point. And you're just acquiring more skills. And I think that's more important than doing well in the business model right now, because if maybe you're not doing online arbitrage in 10 years time or 20 years time, that's cool. But you'll have picked up all kinds of, like you just said, management skills and sourcing skills and all kinds of skills that you'll transition into the next project. And it might be your big thing. You know,
absolutely, yeah, 100% believe that. Yeah, and it may take me 5 or 10 years, but yeah, 100%. Like, you know, the skills that you learn and the skills that I've learned from all of my businesses and this business, you know, wow, you know, it's just like you know, the knowledge there is just ready to go on the right project, and it's just gonna, you know, obviously still got a lot to learn. You know, like I'd look back in 10 years and go, wow, I didn't know anything, but you know, like, I'm sure you've done that as well.
Yeah. And I know in 10 years' time, I'll look back and go, what was I thinking? What was I doing? I've been probably doing something totally different then. I don't know. But one thing I do know is, and I posted about it on Facebook the other day, like I started learning copywriting 20 years ago. I use copywriting every single day of my life, near enough. So that skill was acquired way before I was doing anything to do with this. But I do use those skills back that I acquired then now, and you will. And I suppose what it is it's creating the version of you that doesn't look at that ideal. Once you get to that thing that you're trying to find that is your purpose, once you get there, instead of being overwhelmed by it and thinking, well, I can't do it, I'm not in a position to do it, or I can't do this, I can't do that. All of this is almost like practice and becoming the version of yourself that will be able to handle that when you find it. And maybe if you look at it that way, you won't, I mean, it's not wasted time anyway, but you won't see this time as, well, I'm just doing this for the meantime and until I find my thing. Actually, what you're doing is preparing yourself. You're training your mind and your body and your soul and stuff ready to attack that big purpose mission thing.
I think that's right. Yeah, because like the amount of struggles I've been through, you know what I mean? Like the amount of months without earning anything, the amount of months of losing money, you know, the businesses losing money, and then all the skills that you learn when things do go right. What went wrong there? Why did that work? Why did that not work? You know, hiring, all that sort of stuff, systemizing. I think you're completely right. Yeah, it's just training, and that's the best way to look at it, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So we're already at 41.5 minutes or 42 minutes. So we'll wrap it up. But before we do, Hayden, if anybody wants to find you, reach out to you, see some of your YouTube content, what's the best way? What's the best place to find out what you're up to?
Yeah, YouTube. So I chuck everything on YouTube, really.
Cool.
So yeah, it's just Hayden Davidson on YouTube. Have a little look.
Did you change the name again?
Yeah, I changed the name just because I don't know. I couldn't really. It wasn't sitting right with me. So no, I'll tell you what it was. When people, I did change my name just for contrast. Everyone, I changed my name to How to Amazon. Now I've changed it back to Hayden Davidson. The reason I changed it back as well was because when I typed in, I was telling people, well, yeah, it's How to Amazon, and other people were telling me when they type in How to Amazon, I wasn't coming up.
I did the same, looking for your channel a bunch of times. I'm like, How to Amazon. I'm scrolling and it's like, it ain't here, and it's his channel name. So
I realized that. So people couldn't find me when they searched, and then they would just give up. So I had to change it back, A, for that reason, because, you know, I want people to be able to find me if they're talking about me. And B, because it's a channel that I want to document my whole life on. So give it 5 years, it probably won't be Amazon. Hopefully it'll be 250,000 subscribers, and I'll be, you know, talking about, you know, my you know, my other companies and stuff as well. Who knows?
Maybe you'll have found your passion then, and you'll be sharing your passion. No,
yeah,
I think that's the right move. I don't know why I didn't say it. I suppose it didn't come up in conversation, but I did think that. I thought How to Amazon didn't really work when I searched it. But Hayden Davidson. So yeah, Hayden's a good chap. He's a great YouTuber. He just put together an amazing free course on how to do online on Amazon, and it's like a big chunky course. It's a free course. He deep dives into exactly how to do it. So if you've watched this far and you're not selling on Amazon yet, or even if you just want some extra tips, or you just want to go over the beginner stuff again, it's got a really good beginner's course on how to do online arbitrage on Amazon. So go to YouTube, type in Hayden Davidson, and you'll find his YouTube channel. Go give him a subscribe. He's a top guy, a friend to me, a friend to us. Have you enjoyed this interview type thing, Hayden? It's been all right.
It's been nice, mate. It's been nice to touch on both sides, the Amazon and the entrepreneurial, because sometimes you know, an Amazon seller gets put in a box sometimes as, you know, just an Amazon seller, but there's actually a lot more of a person behind the seller, isn't there?
Absolutely, and you've really hit it home that, like, you're Amazon selling right now, but maybe 2-3 years from now, you'll probably still be Amazon selling, but you won't have much to do with it because the intention is to travel. The intention is to outsource. The intention is to find your passion and your dream and go do your thing, which is cool. And I think that's all good. What I don't want to do is paint a picture that this Amazon selling malarkey is all just one type of person. You must be like this. The reality is, I mean, you're a relatively young seller, 25. You know, there's other young sellers, but there's a lot of people doing this at 60, 65, and like they're seeing it as like a retirement part or a hobby business and stuff. And there's everything in between: men, women, old, young, employed, not employed, just a whole mix. So it's really cool to hear from different sellers and different experiences and journeys. And thanks for sharing your entrepreneurial side as well with us.
That's all right. Yeah, no, it's good, mate. Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Okay, so nice one, Hayden, and thanks everybody for watching. If you would be so kind, if you enjoyed this video, chat, interview, whatever you want to call it, hit the thumbs up button and let me know in the comments down below if you've got any questions that you would like me to ask the next seller, or even if you've got any questions for Hayden, chuck them down there.
Yeah, just tag me in it if you,
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll do another follow-up at some point with Hayden to see his progress 6 months from now or something like that, or a year from now. We'll do another one of these. But yeah, thanks ever so much, Hayden, for joining me, and thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you next time.
Cheers all.